burnt the yard, and all the yard was black. Today the wind blew, and now the yard is brown. All the ash is gone. Everything. The wind blew really, really hard here. It's gonna blow again tomorrow, I think. But I think we have a cool spell coming in, but we're definitely headed into spring weather, and I am so happy about that. I keep changing the subject so many times, so there's so much to talk about. I'm just talking and rambling on. Maybe it's from all those years of working by myself when I talk. I have spoken to a cow, and I have spoken to a rabbit. I have been so far out in southeastern New Mexico, in the northern part of Lee County, going up into parts of Chavez County. I've been so far back out in the middle of nowhere. These ranches, some of these ranches are huge. I've been out on oil field locations, treating wells and stuff, out in the middle of nowhere. And nobody goes back there. And sometimes they don't even pump the wells all the time. They just turn them on once in a while just so they can keep the lease from the government, allows them to keep the lease open in case they decide to drill or do something. So every once in a while you have to go back there, but for the most part no one ever goes back there. There's lots of places like that here. And I had rabbits before come up to me. They have no fear. For whatever reason, there's no coyote out there to chase them around and eat them. But little bunnies, they just don't have fear. I've had this happen a couple of times. Most of the time, rabbits are scared of you. And coyotes, too. I had a coyote walk right up to me. And every once in a while, you get some rabid coyotes. Rabies does go around here. I think mostly probably in skunks, foxes, stuff like that. But there's been a couple instances of rabid coyotes. They're not really afraid of you, and they're very dangerous. There's no cure for rabies, not that I know of. Anyway, but these rabbits they'll walk right up to you and sniff your boot. And I'm pretty sure that I wake up early and come home late for so many years. During that part of my life when my kids were younger, that I would probably go an entire day, maybe more, without ever saying a word out loud, because there's no one to talk to. You go to work and you don't talk to anybody. You just go and do your thing, and then you come home at night and everybody's in bed. You go to bed and get up and do the same thing the next morning. I have no doubt that there's probably hundreds of days in my life where I didn't even talk out loud to myself. But when you see a rabbit walk up to you and you haven't been by yourself for so long, and you talk to the rabbit, I've spoken to animals. I'm not a real big animal fan. I like animals. Here at my house, there's like 1 million cats because Carly is a cat woman. She is a cat lover. Not me. There's like 2 cats out there that I'll pet. I do feed them for her when she's traveling or whenever she's needs us to. Every once in a while she'll abandon all of her pet responsibilities and the family has to pick up the slack. But we have 4 dogs. I don't own a dog. We had a family dog, a Chihuahua. His name was Tiny. He died. I didn't kill him. He got old. And when he passed away, I had no more family pets. None. But right now we have 4 dogs, 500,000 cats. I don't think there's any fish or hamsters or anything like that. And there ain't gonna be either. But nonetheless, we have a pretty big house and some room. I talked to a cow one time. I actually stopped, and the cow was just looking at me, and bulls. But the cow, for whatever reason, just walked over to the truck when I stopped. I walked over to the truck. Quail? I talked to quail. In the summertime, it gets so hot around here that if your vehicle's running, your air conditioner is putting out condensation. The quail will literally, and rabbits, they will come under your truck to get that moisture. They're not afraid. I mean, you can pull out 2 shotguns and they're just like, shoot us, we don't care. I walked past a rabbit one time who was sitting in the shadow of an electrical panel post and one under a mesquite bush. It's so hot here sometimes in the summertime that the rabbits, if they run, they can literally bruise and rupture their kidneys and die. And so they'll sit there, and you're going to have to get really, really close to them before they move. But they'll sit there in the prepared to sprint mode, and you can walk up within 2 feet. And as long as they think that their reflexes are going to outdo yours, they won't run. They'll sit right there and just look at you because it's so hot. And So yeah, I talked to all kinds of different animals, but I'm not really a big animal lover. I guess I was just lonely back then. Don't know how I got off on that. I think we were talking about out of the way places and just getting out in the middle of nowhere type stuff. But anyways, El Paso. I started talking about El Paso earlier. Did you know that there's tunnels under El Paso? Of course, there's tunnels under the border because people are always smuggling things. But I'm talking about there's literally oldest neighborhood in El Paso. It's called. Don't quote me on this, but I stopped by there. Actually, I got off topic a couple times, didn't I? I was talking about. First, I'm going to go back and tie up a couple loose ends. I was talking about visiting my grandkids and stuff in Albuquerque. When I was leaving Daniel, that's my son, and Elizabeth, my daughter, I was leaving visiting them. When I came back, I actually drove down on purpose through Truth or Consequences and past Elephant Butte Lake, just because I have never been through there. And I was watching Bailey Serene's channel on serial killers, and she said New Mexico. And I was like, okay, who's this? And I remember his name is, I think it's David Parker. Serial killer from Elephant Butte, New Mexico. If I'm wrong on his name, I think it's David Parker. We'll be covering him as well because he's a local. But one sick, twisted man, human trafficking, murderer, just a whole, his girlfriend's in on it, his daughter's in on it. You can't trust people. But anyway, so she talked about him. It's known as I think it's the Toy Box Killer, is what they titled him. Anyways, tying up that loose end, and then I talked about El Paso and the great restaurants. Now I'm going to tell you, under ancient cities and mysterious ruins, you go to El Paso. I think it's called Sunset Heights. It's an old part of El Paso up on the side of the hill. When I was in the military, I was stationed there for a little while. By the way, my military service is nothing compared to the great men and women who've actually served during combat. I was in during combat. I never went to combat. I joined the Army National Guard when I was in high school. I was 17. I went to basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Trained with some amazing people, met some amazing soldiers, drill sergeants. Learned a lot. For a 17-year-old, joining the military, it's a big deal. It's, let me tell you, you learn to get out of bed. I was always pretty active in sports and stuff in high school, and so, but no, it was a good experience for me. And so I went straight from Fort Sill, Oklahoma to El Paso, Texas, and I was stationed there in a place called the Northern Heights. It's, I think it's called the Heights. It's not the Northern Heights. That part of the military base isn't there. I actually drove over there. It's down Dyer Street on the eastern side of the mountain range that goes up there. I think it's the Oregon Mountains. I'm not positive. The mountains that are right there in El Paso. Now they have a pass that goes through. We go through there sometimes when we go over to El Paso. We'll go to Wet and Wild, and that's on the western side of the mountain towards by Anthony, New Mexico, right on the border of New Mexico and Texas. They have a pass that goes through there. Before they put that pass through there, when I was there in training, me and a couple of guys, wherever you guys are at, I remember you. Remember some of your names. We climbed that mountain in downtown El Paso. One of the big urban things is to go up to the towers on top. We climbed that mountain and almost killed ourselves. It was an extremely hot day, a big lesson in life. Almost went to jail over it. We got sunburned so bad that we had skin poisoning, and they were considering putting us in the hospital. First lesson about different parts of the desert. We were in amazing shape, the best shape of my life. It was a bad thing that we did, but yeah, no, everything worked out good. I also broke my ankle when I was stationed there. Crazy place. It's called the Logan Heights. Pretty sure it's called the Logan Heights. It was a part of the base that was there. I don't think it's there now. It was. We went there for air defense artillery. This is right in like the end of 1989. This is the beginning of 1990, I believe. They were just preparing for the Gulf War with Saddam Hussein, and all the equipment that they flew over was coming in through El Paso, hitting Biggs Airfield and being shipped out. Had going to do a guard duty one night, and our drill sergeant actually was a pretty cool guy. Didn't think so at the time, but he took us down and he showed us the enormous amount of firepower that was coming in on by rail into that place, and them yards were full. Anyways, we were on guard duty down there one night, and he stopped and he said, "There's going to be a war."